Jedi Fallen Order is a surprisingly well made and all around great game. It takes elements from other games that have been massive hits in the past and adapts them into the Star Wars universe. And it creates something fun and great and enjoyable for nearly everyone. Now, Star Wars Fallen Order uses a lot of elements from Sekiro for its combat, actually, which I thought was kind of funny. And you rely a lot on parrying, similarly as you did in Sekiro, which makes a lot of sense, I guess, because, I mean, Jedis are knights, and, I mean, it's not very different to how samurai would fight. Obviously, there's a lot of different kinds of enemies in this game. There's creatures from every kind of world that you visit. I mean, there's a lot of spiders for some reason, but I don't know why. And there's a lot of stormtroopers. And the game is fun. Like, overall, it's just a fun time. Now, obviously, the gameplay has a little bit of a learning curve to get used to. And you can change the difficulty throughout if you have to, because, I mean, it gets pretty hard at times. And what the game does is it overwhelms you sometimes with a lot of enemies. And it introduces new enemy types that are struggle to fight when you first encounter them. And it's very fun. Now, the game is essentially linear. I mean, you can choose to go on a different path very early in the game, but it's kind of the only time it gives you that. And you can explore the planets every time, which are like their own little hub worlds. I would essentially say this game is free roam, and it really encourages you to go back and look for new things as you gain more abilities and knowledge of how the game works. Now, the game doesn't have any fast travel, so that can make that a little annoying sometimes. But it really encourages exploring, and exploration in this game is fun, especially with all the nice Jedi parkour moves you can perform. And it handles a lot like Tomb Raider in a way in the later centuries with how the climbing works. It's kind of automatic, and you know, it works fine, and wall running's fun. Now, obviously, the parkour isn't perfect. I think that there needs to be a little bit of a touch-up on kind of when Cal grabs things, the main character. So yeah, that's a little interesting. But other than that, the gameplay is not bad. There are little, you know, just tidbits here and there that just need to be touched up on, like, I don't know, the parrying has a little tiny, like, half a second delay, and it's frustrating, because when you play Sekiro, that thing's instant. But when you play it in Jedi, it's frustrating at first because you take longer to kind of learn that parry, because, you know, you need to learn that you need to do it half a second earlier than as they kind of hit you. And it is kind of simple, and if you overthink the parrying system, it can get frustrating. So other than that, I will say the game is great, and it plays very much like Sekiro, and if you liked any Dark Souls kind of game, you'll like this game. Now, the story itself is actually quite intriguing and introduces a lot of new characters. There's some old, I think. There's one for sure, but, you know, it creates its own new world in this universe that obviously a lot of people already know and love. And it doesn't play on nostalgia, actually. It doesn't really play on, you know, other characters within the universe, and it's more about, it centers around the character of Cal Kestis, who's a Padawan, and his master was killed during Order 66, or the Purge as they refer to it in this game. And, you know, he's been in hiding ever since, and then he uses the Force, and the story kicks off from there. And from there on out, you kind of, you know, you're on a mission to find the next generation of Jedi. And, you know, you go through each temple, and it plays out kind of like a Tomb Raider game. And there's a lot of puzzles in this game as well. And that's always fun when, you know, the puzzles kind of suck when they don't make a lot of sense. And it would have been good to have some kind of, like, I don't know, Jedi sense, or something that highlights the objective or things around you in the environment, because it's quite frustrating, and areas can be extremely dark, and you can't see very well sometimes, or it's very hard to figure out which path you need to take. And some kind of, like, I don't know, just some kind of system that points out where to go would be great. Like how in Tomb Raider, when you press, I think it's the down button on the D-pad, it highlights the object in yellow and where to go. And that's something I think needs to be added into the next installment of this game, I think, or whatever they're going to do next. But I think that needs to be done. Character development is very well done. There was one scene though with a certain character in the game, and they talk about how, you know, he's grown and such, about how he's become more kind of, you know, he's become more friendly with the people around him. But you don't really get to see that. And it's, you know, unless you kind of choose to go and talk to this character a lot, you don't see it much. And it's kind of frustrating when it doesn't play out a lot in the movie. In the game, sorry. And, you know, there's cutscenes, but he kind of just changes his attitude just kind of randomly. And it's strange. And that's something that I think needs to be, you know, played upon. And then there's certain things in the game where I'm like, well, you know, it doesn't always make sense, but, you know, you can't really do it. And I can't really go into talking about how it doesn't work without spoiling the game. But overall, I think the game is great fun, and if you still haven't picked it up yet, I'm sure you probably have, but I definitely recommend getting it. It's a fun game, and if you like Star Wars or Dark Souls, it's, you know, it's fun. This wasn't extremely special, and it definitely has its flaws, but it's something that definitely can be polished and refined to be, you know, almost perfect in its next installment. And I would have preferred, you know, maybe a better map system and a better open world kind of exploration system as well, but that's all I really have to say complaints wise. I think gameplay, it's great. The parrying system maybe needs to be a little bit more refined, but as far as like everything goes, there's something there that just needs to be polished or refined to be made perfect in this game. And, you know, it has all the building blocks to be even better than it already is. And, you know, that's all I really have to say. The game was somewhat glitchless, actually. Even on the base version, I didn't encounter any glitches at all. I fell through the world once, which I was kind of surprised about, because that actually, I've been encountering a lot more glitches lately. And the UI was it's a little annoying to learn at first, but, you know, other than that, it's all pretty fun. And, you know, there's certain customization options that I wish could have been expanded upon better. The lightsaber customization is great fun, and you get a lot of options, and you can mix and match, or you can just make one set. But costume wise, what Cal wears, you can change the color, and that's about it, or whether or not he wears a poncho. But I think that's something they can maybe go down the route of exploring next time, just because I'd, you know, be intrigued about how that would work, and customization could, you know, just be further made greater, I think, in the game. But really, other than that, it's a great time. If you like Star Wars, Dark Souls, any kind of just hardish kind of games, and you like a bit of a challenge, I recommend getting it. And that's all I really have to say. There's not much else to talk about in this game. It is relatively small. It's only 20 hours, so if you want something quick to play, I recommend this. And, you know, just go get the fucking game. Support EA. Show them that storytelling is an important part of the gaming world, and don't be afraid to make more games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's as simple as that, and I think Respawn have separated themselves greatly from other EA developers, and they've definitely, you know, not fallen under that EA name of terrible games like Anthem or Battlefront 1 or 2, which were very bare bones. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next week for another video. I'm not sure what on, because I'm out of games now. And I'll be streaming on Twitch hopefully soon. You can check out our website, our Twitch, the Twitter, our Patreon, everything. Just check it all out. Check out the Facebook group. Follow us on Twitter, like I said. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. It would all be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys next week for another video.